him online.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the one who got me interested in photography and in the visual arts.
Nice segue. That's where I was going next. How did he get you interested in it? What did he do?
Well, he's an amateur photographer.
Mm.
He has a great eye, and he enjoyed taking pictures, so he was taking, and I had a point-and-shoot camera, so I'm like, okay, I'll just start taking some pictures too, you know. Mm. So started taking some and realized these are pretty good. and got a lot of encouragement from him. I had never completed college. I had about 2.5 years behind me, the core stuff, but I never got a degree. So since I loved photography so much, he encouraged me to go back to school, and I got my Bachelor's of Arts degree in digital photography.
Where did you go?
The Art Institute of Tampa.
How was their program?
Oh, they have an awesome program. Awesome program. Jim Ryman's no longer there. He was the head of it, but amazing program. We learned a lot of, it was a lot of diversity. You learn a lot of different things, you know, different types of photography, architecture, portrait, even the commercial side of it. They prepare you for, you know, the business side when you're going out and getting your portfolio ready, and you know, they have internships. I did a internship with a wedding photographer.
Oh yeah,
it was part of the requirement.
How was that experience?
It was great. It was great. But I did. When I graduated, I actually thought I was going to become a wedding photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed my mind. I loved it, but you know, I'm 52, and weddings are long. It's like 8 to 10 hours on your feet, up, down, constant. You know. So I
was a wedding videographer, so yeah.
I think I'll leave that to the younger crowd. Plus, I mean, if you miss something, you know, that's their memories. There's a lot of stress with it. But I did enjoy it, and I learned a lot. That internship just exponentially increased my skills because it was real life. You know, how do you deal with this lighting situation? How do you do this? You know, different things. So
I never even knew there was an internship to be a wedding video photographer. I didn't know there was
well,
something.
at the Art Institute, they require, all of their degrees require an internship.
Yeah, I didn't know wedding photography could be an internship.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, of course. So you graduate, and you decide, what do I want to do with this?
Well, I graduated, and like I said, I was going to become a wedding photographer at first, and I shot. I had one wedding that I did shoot on my own. Actually, Chuck shot it with me. He was my second photographer, and I did, you know, some portraits and stuff because wedding photographers still do portraits too. So I had those going, and one of the neat things about the Art Institute is they're always, when they get contacted, they'll refer you.
Oh, that's good.
So, you know, if someone's looking for a wedding photographer, they're looking for this or that, then they will refer. And I was actually recruited as an architectural photographer, not a wedding photographer, by a company called 360 Photo to do virtual tours for Google. This was about 3 months after I graduated. I got a phone call, and they said, you know, is it okay if we pass this information? We can't tell you who the company is, can't tell you anything, but it's doing virtual tours. You'll be photographing and architectural and stuff like that, you know, architectural photography. I was like, yeah, go ahead, you know.
Did you think you could do it?
I mean, I can do anything I put my mind to, but you know, I never saw myself as an architectural photographer, but I really enjoyed it. So they called me, they contacted me, we went through several interviews online, and then I went down to South Florida because the 360 photos in South Florida, and went through a week of training, and I started photographing for 360 photo on behalf of Google.
When was this?
This was in, what year did I graduate?
Mm-hmm.
How old am I?
What year is it? Right.
It was about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I was with them for almost 4 years. And got to photograph some really cool places. I went to San Francisco and was there for a couple of weeks and photographed some nice restaurants and different things out there. Went to Philadelphia, photographed an art gallery, or actually several art galleries, a museum, and a bed and breakfast. And then I did a lot of hotels. We did different hotel chains, and photographed, their nice rooms. My favorite was the Waldorf Astoria in Park City, Utah, and there was snow on the ground. It was awesome. But they're big jobs. So we would do the virtual tour, which was basically a series of photographs shot in a way that you can combine it and spin around and see everything.
Hence the 360
degrees. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would also do nice architectural photography for them. The interiors of the room, the hotel front, different things.
And 360 would pay to fly you to these places?
Yes.
They set you up? And
I was an employee.
That's how it works. Now, would you be going on these shoots by yourself? Would you have an assistant?
Usually we would go in teams. So we'd have a team of at least two, especially for like bigger places like hotels. And like if you're shooting in a hotel, we couldn't have people in it. So you're shooting, and the hotel is so much prettier at night when it's lit, and you get the ambiance of the room and all of that. So we would start shooting like late at night, or actually around sunset, and then shoot through the night. And long days, but it was very rewarding. And you see your tours online, and for a while, it's not there anymore, but for about 2 years, my tour of the Epic Roast House in San Francisco, which is a restaurant, was the main page for Google for their 360 tours. And it had my name on it. So it was nice.
And they kept giving you steady work?
They did. I ended up I got injured while I was there with them. I tore my rotator cuff, so they moved me more into a management and trainee position. So I worked from home and did that. I still did some pretty cool shoots. That's when I did the Waldorf Astoria and a couple of hotels and different things. But I wasn't as active in photography. It was more of a training side of it,
Would you rather been out in the field,
yes.
though? Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Darn injuries.
Absolutely. But and then they ended up laying some people off, and I was one of them.
Now, during this time, you're doing photography. Are you also still playing music?
Yes. My husband and I had moved to this area, Central Florida, outside of Plant City. We moved up to the Brooksville area and joined a church. And I started on the worship team there. So they had been praying for a guitarist when we got there, and I joined shortly after we started going there. So
that's when you met this guy.
Yes, that's when I met you and Anna.
Yeah, and our lives were changed forever, kids. Yes, it was good having you on the worship team. So after 360 goes bye-bye, now what do you do with photography?
Now it's more of, I still do portraits, and I would love to do, architectural photography. I'm constantly, approaching people about that, but it's getting businesses to do it. And in a small town, it's not as much of a demand as if we were in a larger, city.
Yes.
So I've done a couple of events. I did actually Chuck went with me, and we both photographed Sean T. He's a exercise person with Beachbody, and did like Insanity and different things. He had a conference going on in Orlando, and I got hired to do the event. So I photographed that. We do events, we do portraits. I would love to do architectural again, but a lot of what I do now is more personal. I've really gotten into travel and landscape and animals photography. We have a farm, so I'm constantly out there. We also live in a bird sanctuary, so, I've been able to get a couple of hawks and different things, and going to wildlife preserves. We went to Alaska, and I got to get some amazing shots of like bobcats and moose and, different things like that. So we have those up for sale in different stock photo type things.
So you're set up on some stock photo websites?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Story Blocks.
Story Blocks. Okay.
Yeah, Story Blocks is the main one that we're on. We also have an Instagram channel. My husband had this bright idea, which I love that he did have this idea, but we've started a YouTube channel. It's called The Bowser Journal. And we also have an Instagram. It's separate from our main photography, professional photography site, but we do vlogs about our life and, homesteading and travel and scuba diving and different things. So, while it's not photography, a lot of it is still the same. You still have to have the eye, when you're videoing and doing things and getting the creative shots. And I've kind of morphed into that. I love doing the B-roll stuff, where you're like the shallow depth of field. And because the thing with photography or videography is making people see things differently. A photograph is kind of a lie sometimes. It's not always an accurate representation of what you're looking at, especially when like you're in a macro situation. You're right in there, and sometimes you can't even tell what it is. But because of the rhythm and repetition and the different lines and the way the light plays on it and everything, it's an awesome photograph. It's art, and it's making the world see what you see. And I'm always looking for those types of moments. So some of that is on our Instagram channel. I do most of the photography on there. Not all of it. Chuck does some of it on the Bowser Journal.
So you incorporate some of you talking to the camera, then video footage, and even photography too?
Yes. Everything's
just thrown in there for good measure. When did you start your YouTube channel?
We started about a year or two ago. We're up to about, I think, 640 subscribers now, and almost 100 videos. We're getting close. We're not quite there, but we're learning. We look at some of our older stuff, and it's like, ooh, that's bad. And the photographer in me, I'm like overcritical anyway, because if anything's like off, I'm like, okay, it's a vlog. It's a vlog. Remember, it's a vlog. This is not a masterpiece. But it's a great tool to document your life. I mean, our kids are in it, our grandkids are in it, and we're in it, and someday somebody, down in our lineage will be able to look back and see this and say, that was kind of cool.
That's a great idea. So, what's the channel name again?
The channel on YouTube and Instagram is The Bowser Journal.
Check it out.
And then our photography website is bowserphotography.com.
That's BOWSER.
Yes.
Just
photography.com.
What's next for you?
I'm continuing to try to build my own photography business. And like I said, I would love to get back into architectural or even photographing for social media. I'm on a work website called